If you would take a look at any movie version that you see of any person in history, whatever, Superman, James Bond, right? Jesus of Nazareth, any person that is in the mainstream of a society, a culture, so that it's part of that. Like Star Wars. And you'll see this in the books, we're talking about this in all of the books. And you can explain things. Well, rather, no, go back. A thing, if you look at a thing as factors, and then factors as things, and then you can see everything as numbers, or things. Because everything is things. So that's the premise, is that every single thing that you see, or that you know, or that anyone agrees that is a thing, like if you say, this thing is a thing, and it is that thing, and I say to you, in some way, yes, that thing is that thing that you said it is, and I will act according to that, in this way or that. By either demonstrating that I agree with that definition of that thing, or demonstrating that I do not agree with that. But in any case, we both agree that that thing is that thing that you said it was, and I now say it is that thing too. So in other words, there is one thing that is two things, and that is this: what you think and what I think. So you can see right there, right from the start, a thing is two things, right from the start. Because it's two people that have to think the same thing, or at least pretend that they do. But for something to be defined, that's the starting point. So we're going to take a look at the stop sign. And you'll see this in the books. And you can check out the books, you can see these books. You go to the website, and you can see the books online. But if you hold back, and you will say, the first thing the thing is a stop sign. Well, what does that mean? Because now you come into this. Now you have defined that thing, and you have said what it is, and we all agree that's what it is. But so then now what does it do? Now you know what it is. Stop sign. What does it do? Well, that's what it means. Because there has to be behavior in response to, or in other words, maybe, that is, or for example, being based on a definition, any definition, that is anything that anybody agrees on. More than one person. I would have to say one thing or think one thing and then somebody else would have to agree on that. And then when that happens enough, then you start building society. And so that is what society is. It is the behavior of the members of society. Society equals, listen, this is very simple, but it's the most important thing there is to understanding this whole book. You don't even need to get the book if you understand this. Society is a set of rules. And society equals the behavior of the members of society. That is, now to say this, society is a set of rules, and society equals the behavior of the members of society. That is repeated over and over and over again. Yeah. And that's what society is. It's a set of rules people follow based on definitions and then meanings. In other words, well, what happens what does it look like when we start behaving according to this thing that we've called this thing or that thing, based on whatever it is, whichever side of whatever it is you're on, right? Like say a border, we all agreed. But depending on which side of the border you're on, you might either be defined legally as an illegal, or as an legal, right? An illegal. An illegal, right? You have legal, right? An illegal. And then you have illegal, right? And that would be an illegal, right? So you have an illegal, and then you have an illegal, right? Okay, got it. I don't want to confuse anybody on that. But depending on which side of the border you're on, you're going to be either one of those or not one of those, which makes you the same in that you're either this and or that. Either one of those is that at the same time. They're both that. Depending on what side of the border you're on, unless you redefine the border. Okay. Now, because the border defines things on either side of the border, depending on which side of the border you're on. The behavior follows, which makes the border mean something, because if nobody did anything based on anything, nothing would mean anything. Right? It's like saying, well, here's a glass of water, or here's some water, and here's a guy dying of thirst. What does this water mean? Nothing. Well, what does it mean if you pour it on his face? Well, it might mean that his face cools down, but beyond that, nothing. Maybe, I don't know. It might mean a lot of things. Maybe that guy dying of thirst might look at that water and suddenly have hope. So in that case, might mean that by seeing it as the definition of that thing, agreeing that we know what it is, the meaning of that then becomes something different to every person that encounters it for various reasons. And herein lies the experience. And then comes the behavior and all this that we call meaning. And then, finally, the implications of all of that is, well, the consequences or the long-term ramifications, or rather, you know it, I just said it, implications of things. And that is what society is. Society is a set of rules. And society equals the behavior of the members of society. And again, that is to say, the behavior of the members of society that is repeated over and over and over again. And so there's a lot to that. And based on this, you can get the books, you can read all of this in the books. And if you don't want to get the books, but you want to see the books, go ahead and look them up online, see if it's something that you want. And once you get that part, you didn't even need to buy the books, but you already did it. But if you want a copy of the book, or any of the books, go ahead and send me a letter or an email, or if I see you at one of our lectures or performance events, and we have books on hand, I'll gladly give you a copy of my book, all of my books. But you need to come up to me and ask me for a book and tell me why you want it. I want to talk to you about the books. I want to know why you want this book, and I want to know how we can talk about the books. Because there's a lot to talk about in these books, right? The first thing that we need to talk about is, well, there's a lot that's going on in these books. You need to see the books. I'm only going to say this first of all. We're talking about everything in society, from Star Wars to the Bible, right? This is all based on the Bible, right? The King James Bible, as a matter of fact, right? And this is Christian comedy, right? Amen. And then also, this is not for everyone, right? This kind of material is just not going to be for every person. If you don't get it, fine. That's okay. Not every audience member is going to either get this joke, these jokes, these books, whatever. Now, if you get the books, it's a different story, which you can read at your own pace. right? You can read at your own pace. And that's what you want, is you want to read at your own pace. You can read some sections and then you can turn back, stop, reread, start reading from the back of the book and go to the front. Put the book down, don't start it, whatever you want. Then you can make copies of the book and you can share the book with your friends if you want. Hey, if you want to go out and you want to sell the book and you want to become a billionaire at our time, right? Look, somebody asked me the other day, how many of these should I buy? How many books should I buy? And I said, well, how much do you want to make? You want to make millions? You want to make billions? Or do you want to make trillions? Right? It's up to you. So you can just, look man, go ahead, look, buy all of these books. If you can, of course, and if you want. And then make as many copies as you need, right? And then, of course, share as many copies, give as many copies away to your friends as you want, right? And if you need any questions answered about the books, well, you can just send me an email or come up to me after one of our lectures or performances, if you will, if you want to call it that. And we're not telling anybody how to think here. We're not saying a person needs to think in a certain way or do a certain thing. What I'm saying is, if you're interested in learning more about the books, then check the website. Go to the website, and if you want a free copy of the book, search the book. Read the introduction to the book, or talk to one of your friends that has the book and see if this is a book that you want. If you want, and if you can, buy as many copies as you can. And then make as many copies as you need, and then give away as many copies as you want. And that's about it, friends. That's all the time we have for today. And so remember, friends, until we return again to meet up here, where we're going to be talking everything there is, right? Everything is factors, and all factors are things. And the language and use and practice of that in a certain way can actually change your brain, friends, dear friends, change the way you think. And when you change the way you think, dear friends, you by choice decide which direction you want to go, how you want your world to look, and then when a lot of people do that together, over and over and over, that is what our world looks like. So, dear friends, remember, we have the power to shape the civilization that we want. And yes, that's quoted from Lyndon Baines Johnson. And then also, friends, I want to leave you with this thought from Qui-Gon Jinn, the wise and powerful Jedi, who spoke these words to Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which, I might add, is an all-time epic, a masterpiece, written and directed by George Lucas, producer Rick McCallum, executive producer George Lucas. An all-time epic masterpiece, right? Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And so, friends, until we meet again, I want to leave you with these words. This Qui-Gon, the wise and powerful Qui-Gon, spoke these words in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, to Anakin Skywalker. Remember, your focus determines your reality. And may the Force be with us.